Happy Monday, friends. Today we're exploring a truly unique area in southern Arizona's Cochise County. Welcome to an adventure in Chiricahua National Monument. This wonderful national monument is located 120 miles southeast of Tucson, Arizona, and from Highway 186 you reach the junction of Arizona State Highway 181 and you follow it all the way to the very end, 4 miles away at the entrance gate to Chiricahua National Monument. As soon as you make your way through the gates, the bare open road shifts swiftly to towering hills lined with lush trees. If you're wondering where the name Chiricahua originated, it was no pottle word for the wild turkeys that resided in this region. Many assume the name was given in honor of the Chiricahua Apache who resided here for centuries, but it was actually the reverse. The Apache native people here were named after these mountains, and they didn't even use the name Apache when referring to themselves. They used the word Ndi, which means the people. Now, as we begin our journey today, I must take a moment to thank Discover Bisbee for partnering with me on this week's adventure. Nestled among the Mule Mountains in the historic Cochise County, make sure to visit discoverbisbee.com to help you plan your next trip to Southeast Arizona. Often described as the wonderland of rocks, this federally protected park was established in 1924, and it's filled with hoodoos, which are tall spires of rhyolite, and some of them rise hundreds of feet into the air. Just past the entrance gates, there's a small pullout to the right, and you'll see a small cemetery dedicated to the pioneer settlers here. Some of the early pioneer settlers were the Ericssons, Swedish immigrants who founded and operated the first guest ranch here, and the interest they generated in the area helped lead to the establishment of this national monument. These impressive balancing formations were formed by volcanic activity eons ago, followed by gradual erosion, leaving the gravity-defying landscape that we see today. I highly recommend planning your first stop at the Visitor Center, which is open from 8:30 to 4:30 daily. Here you can enjoy exhibits about the natural and cultural history of Chiricahua, and the park guides, volunteers, and rangers are a wonderful resource, so knowledgeable and helpful. Weaving through this otherworldly terrain is Bonita Canyon Road, an 8-mile paved scenic drive, as well as 17 miles of day hike trails, some of which we'll be exploring today. It is important to note that this road can occasionally close due to snow during the winter months, right past the Bonita Canyon campground, which is a popular place for park visitors to stay. Along the drive, there are several places to stop and view the magnificent rock formations from the road. Now, one of the first pull-offs you'll encounter to see it is the Organ Pipe Formations. Just off the side of the road, along Bonita Canyon Drive, is the trailhead for Natural Bridge. This is a 4.8-mile hike, and it has some beautiful views along the way. Snowy conditions or spring storms can mean some stream crossings along this hike, but it is still a wonderful journey. A little further up the road is the stop for Sea Captain Rock, which resembles the profile of, you guessed it, a sea captain. Now, the NPS helped visitors know what to look for with the rock illustration and the sign here. When you think of Arizona, you might think deserts, but the elevation is so high here. This is actually considered an island in the sky, and you certainly can see snow. After driving nearly 6 miles up the beautiful and winding Bonita Canyon Road, you'll reach one of the most famous, and in my opinion, one of the most stunning trails found inside this national monument. If you've followed along on my past national park adventures, you've heard me mention the Civilian Conservation Corps quite a bit, especially in Chiricahua National Park. The CCC also spent a lot of time here in Chiricahua in the 1930s, building numerous structures and constructing miles and miles of trails, including the Echo Canyon Trail, which we're heading out on next. The Echo Canyon Loop is a moderately rugged 3-mile hike, perfect for those who want to explore the fascinating rock formations unique to this region. But if you're short on time, you can take the easy 1-mile out and back trail to the Echo Canyon Grottoes, which itself provides a great introduction to the wilderness area here and an opportunity to walk among the otherworldly rock formations. These hoodoos, which the native Chiricahua Apache referred to as standing up rocks, were formed long ago by eruptions from the Turkey Creek volcano, which sent huge amounts of ash and pumice into the air. Now, as that mixture fell back down to the ground, it hardened, and over time, the rock layers have eroded to reveal the fantastic-looking spires and pinnacles we see here today. Towering rocks surround you here, and they really dominate this landscape. It feels like you're in some sort of fantastic playground with hidden caves and giant spires. It's easy to see why this place is often referred to as the Wonderland of rocks. After enjoying the wonderful Echo Canyon views, we get back in our vehicle and head on the road for a final stop along this drive. At the very end of the scenic drive, we find ourselves at Massai Point, one of the tallest peaks in the park at over 6,800 feet. This half-mile loop trail only has about 50 feet in elevation change, so it's definitely not difficult. And the first paved portion from the parking area to the exhibit area is wheelchair accessible. Plaques inside the structure describe in detail the Chiricahua Mountains, and at the rear of the exhibit building, a cement walkway leads down the back side of the hill to the Massai Point Nature Trail. In the 1930s, the Civilian Conservation Corps did an incredible job carving the stone stairs here to the lookout points. Following the path, the trail leads along a hillside overlooking the monument, and a short side trail takes you to the top of one of the hoodoos. This spot was built for the 1934 dedication of Chiricahua National Monument. Once we're done exploring Massai Point, it's time to head back down the canyon road for a final adventure inside this national monument. Back down the foothills, there are also several hiking opportunities and interesting things to do, such as heading out to the Bonita Creek Trail and Faraway Ranch. Come join me. The Bonita Creek Trail is located at the west end of Chiricahua National Monument. From the entrance of the monument, you head half a mile east on Bonita Canyon Road, and then the parking lot is on the left. From the Bonita Creek parking lot, there are picnic areas and benches, and then you can head out on the Bonita Creek Trail. This trail traces beside the creek, which is often dry, but after heavy winter rains or summer storms, you might see the water flowing here. As you continue on the Bonita Creek Trail, in less than half a mile, you reach Faraway Ranch. Since the 1400s, Chiricahua Apaches lived in and around the Chiricahua Mountains. They hunted, gathered, and were known as great warriors. Unfortunately, in the late 1800s, they suffered repeated invasions, and they were ultimately relocated by the U.S. government to reservations in Oklahoma and New Mexico. Soon after, the local Apache were removed from their land here, and the final surrender of Geronimo in 1887, the Swedish immigrants created a homestead here in the Chiricahua Mountains. By the 1920s, the homestead had become a guest ranch where visitors could enjoy this beautiful area, and in later years, the land became a historic district inside Chiricahua National Monument. This is a great area to see wildlife too. On our recent trip through this lower section of the park, we saw the local javelina running through the field, nearly half a dozen coati scurrying through the grass, and even a group of the wild turkey making their way through the area. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly introduced a Senate bill to redesignate Chiricahua National Monument into Chiricahua National Park. While the U.S. Senate passed this bill in 2022, it did not make it out of the committees in the House. But I tend to agree with Senator Kelly that this wonderful place would absolutely be deserving of national park status. Thank you so much for joining me this week in Chiricahua National Monument. And for more information on this area, see my full blog post at flyingdawnmarie.com. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. And until next week, I hope you find adventure and encouragement wherever you go. Bye!